Hey everyone, it's Casey. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing my August wrap-up. So this will be all the books that I have read in August. It was kind of a weird reading month. Like, I started out really strong, and then I kind of got into a reading slump, and like the last half I haven't really read anything. So I don't know. It was weird. And a lot of these are audiobooks I don't have the physical copies of. So we'll just kind of do this in chronological order. If I'm looking down, I have my Goodreads pulled up. Because it's hard for me to remember what I've read. So, the first book that I read in August was P.S. I Like You by Casey West. This is actually when I finished in August. I had read like half of it before. It was okay. This is my first ever Casey West. It's about this girl who starts like writing on her desk, and she gets this pen pal with a boy that she doesn't know who he is. And then she also has this, like, mortal enemy of a guy who, whatever, I don't know. It was just, like, it was just a YA. I read it because it's, like, one of my sister's favorite books. I didn't really like it too much. I thought the last half of it was much better than the first half. I don't know if that's because I was, like, more in the mood for it. But I think I ended up giving it, like, a 3 out of 5. It was okay. It was, kind of like the teenage equivalent of a trashy romance. Like, there was nothing spectacular going on in this, but it was a nice, okay read. The next book I read was Waitlist by Candy Steiner. And I read that on my ebook. And this book was it's a romance about a overweight girl who gets broken up with her boyfriend of 2 years. So she goes to a personal trainer, and the personal trainer is kind of this bad boy. And so they start this romance, and it's kind of a very rocky romance. And I liked it-ish. Like, I had high hopes because the character was overweight, and that's a type of character that's not often represented, especially in romances. So I did like that aspect of it. But I felt like there's something that happens, like a mystery that develops in like the last 3/4 of the book I thought was super kind of rushed. But it was a good book. I don't think I'll read any more of Candy Steiner's. Like, I'm not like now just desperately wanting to read her books, but I did like it. It was good. It was only like $3.99 on Kindle, so but that book did get me into a little bit of a romance kick. So the next book that I read was The Air He Breathes by Brittany C. Cherry. I think this cover is so beautiful. That's kind of not mainly why I bought it. The plot was intriguing, but pretty much mainly why I bought this book. And this is a self-published book, which I didn't know when I bought it. And so what it's about this guy who is kind of like the bad guy of town, and you find out later that he lost his wife and his child. That's not like a spoiler or anything, no, it's not a spoiler. And then a girl comes back to town after she's just lost her spouse, and so it's kind of about their romance. What did I think about this book? I thought it was not very good. Like, honestly, it kind of reminded me of, just like the writing wasn't what I expected. Like, it didn't meet the standards of like any book I've ever read before, like that's been traditionally published. And I don't know if that's because of that. Maybe it didn't have as hard of an editing because it was self-published. I don't know. I don't think I'm going to read anymore by her, and it kind of makes me a little bit leery to read other self-published books, just because it was not that good. Like, it had weird, like, sex scenes, which, fine, like, I understand when I read, like, books like these that there's going to be sex scenes, but these were super weird. It also was really rushed at the end, like the other book. And, like, it had this, like, twist, but, like, it wasn't realistic at all, the twist. I'm trying not to spoil it. It just, like, something happened that was very, like, soap opera-y, like, that would never happen in real life, but would happen in a soap opera. It just was not my favorite book. I'm not gonna unhaul it, though, because I think the cover is so good. But I would also not recommend reading this book at all. It's part of a series, too. There's like 3 other ones. Too dramatic. After I read that, I guess I needed something a little more wholesome, because I read 2 more sequels of Sarah Plain Tall, which I read Sarah Plain Tall and Skylark by Patricia McLaughlin in July, and so I read the two more in that series this month. And so the third one, but the first one I read this month was Caleb's Story, and then More Perfect Than the Moon. And these are just continuations of the story. They're very short. They're written for children, like young kids, like probably under 10 for sure. And they're just very simple, like pioneer stories. Caleb's Story is about like his grandpa comes back in town, and More Perfect Than Not is it's more like I don't want to spoil it, but like, okay, Sarah gets pregnant again, and so it's about that. You know, they're good. Like, I like them. They're really wholesome. I listened to them on audiobook, and they took like 30 minutes. So, you know, they're good stories. They're definitely like a series I want to give my niece when she's a little bit older. She's 5. I would say maybe like when she's 7, I'll probably get her those, because they are good. The next book that I read, I listened to the audiobook of. It's called Trekonomics. It's the economics of Star Trek, and it is by Manu Sade. I know I'm saying that correctly. This book, it was really good. It's nonfiction. This book specifically focuses on like the economics of scarcity, and how in Star Trek there is no scarcity. Everything you could ever want is readily available. So it kind of focuses on that, and how we as a world and, you know, as a nation could get to that place where everything we want is available. Going into this book, it is very specific demographic. You have to understand economics, and you also have to like Star Trek. If you don't have either one of these, you're not going to like this book. And if you don't understand a basic level of economics and how supply and demand and like opportunity cost and scarcity, how those things already work, this book is going to be like way over your head probably. But if you do have those things, it's so interesting, and it's good, and it talks a lot about like how like not just the economics, but also how like the psychology of how scarcity works, and how you know, you have to, as a nation or as a people, as a world, give up things like designer bags, or you know, like designer labels and different things like that. Anyway, I would definitely recommend it if you have both of those things, Star Trek knowledge and economics knowledge. It is very good. After I got into that book, I finished it, I then got into a very lengthy tornado book obsession, I guess you could say, where I read 2. I read 3. I have 2 in front of me. The first one I read was Mercy of the Sky by Holly Bailey. And this one, follows the 2013 Moore tornado that happened in Oklahoma. I did a standalone video about these tornado books. I'll leave link below, so I'm not going to go into too great of detail, but it was really good. So that's about the Moore, Oklahoma tornado. And then the next book I read was called What Stands in the Storm by Kim Cross. This focuses on the 2011 tornado outbreak that hit mostly Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia, and this book specifically focuses on the Alabama tornadoes and the one that hit Tuscaloosa. If you're going to read only one of these books, I would read What Stands in the Storm. I think it's better written, but I think I said in that video, I liked Mercy of the Sky better because I used to live in Oklahoma, so I have more of a connection with this tornado than I did with these, but this one's a little bit better written. They're both really good. I would definitely recommend it if you're into nonfiction, if you're into storms. Definitely check these books out. So after I read those 2, I also read on my Kindle When the Sirens Were Silent, How the Warning System Failed a Community. That one's by Mike Smith. That one was super short, like 60 pages. It took me, like 2 hours to read. And it is about the Joplin tornado, and specifically how their warning system, meaning the sirens, and also how the National Weather Service tornado warnings that they put out, how both of those things failed the community for different reasons. It's very good. And then to kind of round out the last two books that I read in August were two audiobooks. I listened to Casey West called The Distance Between Us. This one I liked it way better than P.S. I Like You. It takes place, the main girl works and lives like in this doll shop, and then so she's like poor, and then the boy, her love interest, is rich, and so it's kind of about like those opposites. It was good. I liked it. It was again like a fluffy read. I listened to it on an audiobook, so it took like 4 hours or something. It was good. And then the last audiobook that I listened to was Message in a Bottle by Nicholas Sparks. That is the only Nicholas Sparks book, like older one, that I haven't read. So I listened to that. I had seen the movie, so I knew what the plot was. It's about this girl woman who finds a message in a bottle, and she tracks it down. She's a journalist, and she finds this guy in, I think, North Carolina. That's where all of his books take place. And then they like fall in love. Of course, it's a Nicholas Sparks, and it's an old school Nicholas Sparks. So just like word of warning, if you know about his old school endings, yeah, be aware. But it was good. I don't have like a burning desire to rewatch the movie or anything, even though it has Kevin Costner in it, which I like. But yeah, it was just good. I'm glad I read it. And got it over with, like it was like torture, but no, it was good. I liked it. I had one book that I did not finish. I started listening to the audiobook. I listened to like half of it, and I just did not like it at all. And I don't think I'm gonna get hate, because like I have like 20 subscribers, but don't leave me hate. But I just did not like it, and it's an unpopular opinion, especially on BookTube. But The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater, yeah, I got listened to halfway of it, and I just was not into it. And I think the thing is that I don't like fantasy. Like, I don't like witches or like weird, like there's like a psychic and like a family of psychics in this book, and I don't like that stuff. I like I want my things to take place in normal day, and not be like, I don't know, like be like have things that aren't real. I don't like that in books. So I did not like this. I'm gonna give it to my sister. I think she'll like it, because she does like that stuff. She's like kind of into supernatural things. So I think she'll probably like this. But yeah, I didn't like it. I'm not gonna read it, and I kind of want to add my shelves because I don't want to look at it anymore. So there is one book that I'm currently reading that I'm pretty sure I'm going to get done before the month is over, and it's another tornado book I checked out from the library. It's called Storm Kings, The Untold History of America's First Tornado Chasers by Lee Sandlin. I'm like 50 pages into it. It's only like 250 pages. It's really good. It goes back like way back to like the 1600s and follows like how people first saw tornadoes and how they like the evolution of them figuring out what they were, and then like being interested and chasing them and things like that. And I really like that it takes primarily the focus is on America, which is like so egocentric of me to want like my books to be about America. But like it follows like the colonies, and Benjamin Franklin plays a big part in this. But it kind of makes sense for tornadoes. Why tornadoes do happen on all the continents except Antarctica. They mostly happen in like the North America, and specifically like the Great Plains of America. So I was happy that this wasn't like in England or something. I can't have that in my books. Can't have England in my books. Anyway, those are the books I read in August. Please subscribe and let me know what you think about my unliking this. I want to know if did anyone else not like this as either, or is just not gonna read it, or am I like really missing out on something? Let me know.